I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes so we leave people the time to join us slowly. Yeah, it always takes some time for these things, but let me just say that I'm very happy and I'm super excited and super honored to have the chance to interview these two wonderful, brilliant, and strong women, which are Veronika and Klaudia. So thank you so much, guys, for agreeing to do this with us. And yeah, I
Thank
think
you for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I think I can start slowly introducing myself while we still wait for everyone to join us. So my name is Paula, and as you can guess, tonight I am representing Jeune. For those of you who have never heard of us or who are wondering who are we and what are we, there are many answers to this question. The simple one would be Jeune is a blog. And this is the easiest way to explain it. But we don't like this answer so much as a team because it doesn't fully express the complex reality that we are building. So we would define Jeune as a common space where we share information, knowledge, thoughts on topics that are close to our heart. And we produce different kinds of content, from articles to podcast episodes, or even initiatives like this one tonight. So we produce a variety of content in a variety of topics, and we usually gather them under 6 labels that you can find on our website, jeuneeurope.com. And these labels are politics, economics, people, territories, culture, and environment. And yeah, you can just explore our website and go find your favorite topic and explore what you like the most. And so yeah, we produce a variety of content in a variety of topics and also in a variety of languages. This is our most important criteria, let's say, for producing content. If you go check out our manifesto, you will see that it has been translated in 17 languages, and I was very impressed by this thing when I joined the team recently. And so we make sure always to produce content in English and in at least 1, 2, or even 3 other languages. And we are always a welcoming reality. So if you are curious about us, if you want to know us better, if you want to collaborate in some way, like writing articles or proposing another initiative like this one, you just feel free to reach out on our website, or we have an email address, which is contact@jeuneeurope.com. And you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Spotify, and soon on YouTube too. Yeah, so as you can guess, we are a bunch of students, young professionals who are from different countries, have studied in different domains, are engaged in different fields and working in different fields. And we sort of not only produce content and share information, but we also build some conversation and discussion about the future. So bearing in mind a global future and a better future for Europeans, but also for people outside Europe. And so we share experiences and points of view, and this project was actually born out of an Erasmus experience. So that already gives you an idea of what we had in mind for this project. So yeah, that's how our motto was born, Engage, Exchange, Europe. And yeah, we just came back from a summer break. So we just refreshed our website, we changed the logo, we welcome new members like myself. And we are very excited about these live events. We had 2 already. One was about feminism and cultural engagement. The other one was about human rights, and we had the Amnesty International group of the University of Bologna with us. And tonight we are focusing on Poland, because this issue, I think everybody knows about it, but not everyone gets why are these protests going on, and so we need some context, and that's why we asked 2 experts here. So I'm really happy about this, because you guys are in the country, are Polish, and you are involved in international relations. And Weronika and Klaudia are from the Polish Forum of Young Diplomats, and respectively, Weronika is the president. And actually, they had elections last week, so this is her 2nd term. Congratulations on that. And Klaudia is the spokesperson, so we're going to have a chat with them about what is going on in Poland. I'm just going to ask you guys maybe to briefly introduce yourself and talk about your organization, and then we can start with the questions.
Yes, of course. Maybe I'll start. So as you said, I'm Weronika. I am a president of the Polish Forum of Young Diplomats. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I'm Polish. I'm living in Poland and I know how the situation is looking like. So I can tell you how it looks like from the Polish perspective, not from the expert perspective, I guess. Maybe I'll tell something about our organization because it's also very important for us. We are a Polish-wide organization. We connect young people, students and young professionals who are interested in continuing their career to work in international environment, not only in diplomacy, but also in different fields. We are organizing many projects, including international ones. For example, recently we've launched a project of the NATO Youth Delegate Program. And yes, we are very excited to be here. We are also in the social media, but I guess Klaudia will tell more about it because it's her field. So yes, thank you for inviting us here.
Thank you.
Okay, so that will be my turn. I'm Klaudia, and I'm really happy to be here with you tonight. I guess a short, brief, really introduction of myself would be that I am a European law and European studies graduate. So be sure that I will be talking about European Union a lot tonight. And just as Veronika said, I wouldn't call myself an expert as well. I would refer to what I'm going to say tonight more of a citizen perspective. And just as Veronika mentioned, our forum, the Polish Forum of Young Diplomats, you can find on various social media, just to give you an example, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but also LinkedIn, and also have a YouTube. So feel free to follow if you want to know what's going on in Poland. And
Thank you so much. Yeah, maybe you're not experts, but you're more expert than me on these things. So yeah, I would say we can start with the first question. We can start from the basics, actually. So what is going on in Poland? We need to give people some context and to unpack really the situation there.
Okay, maybe this time I could start.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is actually difficult to say what's going on in Poland right now because there's a lot happening here for many different reasons. But I guess what we wanted to talk about today is mostly abortion rights and LGBTQI rights. Well, even to answer this question only from these two perspectives, only considering these two, we need a little context. So let me tell you something about the abortion dispute happening right now. Mm-hmm. So in Poland, abortion was, or actually still is, I'm going to tell you why it still is in about a minute. It was legal in 3 and only 3 cases, and that was pregnancy with a threat to mother's health or life. If the pregnancy was the result of a criminal act, such as rape, but not only, and if there were indications of severe impairment of the fetus or incurable life-threatening diseases. So we used to call this the abortion compromise, and if I'm not wrong, the bill was passed in 1993. Our constitution, though, is from 1997, which is important. You will know why in a second as well. So in October this year, the Polish Constitutional Court ruled that abortion, because of the last reason, incurable diseases of the fetus, was unconstitutional. So that would mean simply that it's illegal. So most women in Poland went furious. Our current government already tried to make the abortion right more strict in 2016, I think. And they stopped it. They didn't do that because women were protesting for, if I remember correctly, weeks. So when women found out about this year, which was, it was the court, so it's not like it was discussed with the society. Well, they said enough, that it was too much for them. And what they said was also that the government took away, well, not really government, since it was the court, but the women interpreted it as the government doing. So they said that the government took away their right to choose if they want to give birth to a baby that is soon going to die or immediately going to die. So it's also, in my opinion, worth mentioning that the government was actually obliged to publish this order, this ruling, within 14 days. They didn't do, and actually problematic as well, because the decision of the court does not have any legal power if it's unpublished. So that's why I said was/still is to decide towards to do the abortion during pregnancy if the baby is going to be born with severe impairment. So the decision was unpublished, meaning it doesn't have legal power, but at the same time, the government, by not publishing the decision, broke the law. So this is a very problematic situation because women, they don't want the decision to be published. At the same time, they want the government to, just respect the law. So the result of all that were protests, or still are protests on the streets, and they have been going on for about 2 months right now, because I think the court decided that sometime around the 20th of October. So that would be almost 2 months. And that's the abortion case, but the LGBTQI rights, I'll give the floor to Veronika because she knows more about it than I do.
Yes, thank you. So when it comes to, if I shall paint again the context of the Polish reality, in Poland, Poland is more of the conservative country. We don't have legal same-sex marriages and etc. But what you probably heard is that last year around 100 towns and regions declared themselves as cities free of LGBTQ ideology.
Right, yeah.
Yes, and so despite many protests and different also external opinions, we still have those LGBTQ free zones. For example, there was this reaction of European Union that right now those towns don't have fundings, but it is still happening. Also this year we had presidential elections, and during campaign was generally focused on LGBTQ community. There are unfortunately a lot of opinions and discussions, including homophobic opinions during elections, and emerging things happened in September when there were protests of LGBTQ community against the discrimination, against what the politicians are saying. And there were some cases, unfortunately, of police brutality. So this is what is happening. But also, I must say that it's not like that all of the Polish people, whole society is homophobic and it's the worst country to live in. Because of course, if not, there are also cities like Warsaw, which signed the LGBTQ declaration, which is supporting LGBTQ community. And so this is one of the many examples of the division of our country, because our country is very, very polarized.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is, I think, a reality that is present in many countries right now in this present society, I would say. And what would you say has been the response by different actors? So, like, for instance, social movements or the government itself and the church, as you said, that you're a conservative country and the church has a true impact in your national reality. What would you say has been the different reactions?
You mean reactions to protests of women, or yeah? So we have this huge polarization, which is also seen during our presidential election, because it's like basically 50-50. So during the strikes, the society is also very divided. And when one of the side of Poland is protesting, the second side is all against it. But right now we have more difficult times because it's coronavirus times. There are people who are not protesting because of pandemics, because it's very dangerous. And so many people are against the protests right now, or they would say that it would be better if you would protest just online. There were also nationalist protests who, well, they are conservative and they are, of course, against abortion. So this is why they were protesting against the women who are protesting against the abortion, because it's very complicated thing. When it comes to government, well, we can we should also said at the beginning that our organizations are political, so it is also difficult for us to acknowledge what is in general happening. But when it comes to what general opinions of the government, which are going, it's that they are, some of the members of the government are condemning the protests of women. But in general, the government didn't say that the women shouldn't protest. They didn't condemn it in general. They are just saying that we shouldn't protest because it's dangerous. Of course, there are some members who are saying that we should protect the Catholic faith and everything, but as everywhere, there are many, many different opinions. Klaudia, would you like to add something to it?
Yeah, I think I would just like to add the fact that you should know that historically the church has a really important role in Polish politics, society, just like life in general, because of what happened in like during the communism, when people were not allowed to go to church. So pretty much church was then supporting the opposition, so like the democratic, yeah, well, let's say that opposition, the Solidarność movement. So I guess that this is also why there's still a lot a lot a lot of that is still in our hearts and in the minds of the politicians that are ruling the country right now, because they're about this like they're about old enough right now to remember what happened then. So church has, or should I say used to have, right now, a huge respect ongoing that kind of, so like it states that they are apolitical, but to be honest, they do have a lot to say, even in our politics. So I guess that is also worth mentioning. And one more thing is that the social movements had different reactions, of course, but I think it's important to say that there's this trend going on right now, which is kind of worrying me. That some of the movements have this, you're either 100% with or against us attitude. So the social movements are kind of closing, like they also seem to disagree with everybody else that has a different opinion, even in one matter. If they have like 10 different I don't know matters that they're talking about, and 10 different postulates, that they will want you to agree with them 100% if you're supporting them. And I think that's kind of worrying because you can't really find 100,000 people that think the same in 10 different matters. So I guess that's also worrying.
Yeah. And I think this is also contributing to the polarization that we were speaking about before.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so this is as far as the situation within the country is concerned. I would like you to, maybe we mentioned it with Veronika before a little bit, but we should unpack a little bit what is the EU doing about these protests and the reactions within the country. So what has been said or done outside so far?
Well, there are still many protests supporting Polish women and protests around Europe and around the globe, actually. When it comes to countries, there were some opinions which were supporting it, but it's also tough here to say what, because I think, correct me, Claudia, if I'm wrong, that there weren't any opinion of you in general on the whole strikes and what is happening.
I think there were European Parliament resolutions, both concerning abortion and the LGBTQI rights. I'm sorry, I really speak fast, so I always mistake when I do that.
Yes, but concerning the protests right now, I'm not sure. But yes, yeah. It is still on the mouth of the whole Europe, what is happening in Poland. There are people who are supporting Polish women. There are different opinions in different countries, like for example in Ireland, which used to be as conservative as Poland is right now. And yeah, it's in here it's still a lot of things are happening, a lot of changes are still going on. So it's difficult to say what is one European opinion about what is happening here. There are countries who are supporting it. There are citizens who are also connecting themselves to support protests. But there are different opinions all around Europe.
Yeah.
I guess I would only like to mention that when we were talking about LGBTQI rights, that there were some kind of, I wouldn't call them sanctions because I know no one would really use this word describing it, but it is kind of what it is, because when as Veronika mentioned, some of the cities, smaller towns actually, or the regions declared themselves as LGBTQ free zones. The European Commission withdrew some of the funds for these regions because they claimed that some of the European Union citizens are being, discriminated there. So I guess that is one of the examples of how the European Union reacted to what has happened, what is still happening, what has been happening in Poland for a long time now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and also I think also on this matter that you just mentioned, Klaudia, there are rumors about a Polexit or like the possibility of Poland exiting the EU. And I found a quote on Politico that I wanted to read you, and I would like to ask your opinion about this.
Yeah.
So it goes like this: Poland's illiberal democracy and strong words from its leading politicians on everything, from the rule of law to abortion and LGBTQI rights, makes the country an increasingly awkward fit with the rest of the EU. So this is sort of what is reflecting on these rumors and this statement that we've been hearing about Polexit or withdrawal and all the names that you want to invent. But yeah, I would like to hear what you have to say about it and how it's circulating this within the country.
Well, this is the fact that recently Poland with Hungary was somehow against other European countries in some cases, and our policy is a little bit different than the core of EU. But I don't think that full exit would be able to happen because our society is all for the European Union. We are having and we are still having a lot of fundings from European Union, a lot of projects which are also important for us young people, like Erasmus Plus and other grants of European Union are very important for us. So I don't think that will happen because that wouldn't be good for anyone.
Yeah, I actually agree with Veronica. I don't really think that the polexit will be happening because we had a poll recently here in Poland, and I don't want to lie, but I know it was a lot. It was either 75 or 80% of people that said that they are supporting the European Union. So that was a definitive majority, and that means that a lot of people that are voting for the party that is now forming, actually parties that are now forming a ruling coalition, is supporting the EU. So I don't think the government would like to do something against 80% of the society. But the relationship between Poland and the EU itself, well, I guess it's a little troubled right now. I mean, these are facts still because we couldn't find a compromise for a very long time concerning the budget lately with other European countries. It was us and the Hungary that were disputing the budget. So I guess a lot of Polish people, or some of the Polish people, are concerned about this relationship right now because objectively it used to be stronger. So yeah, I I can't really actually be objective in this matter because I surround myself with people that are mostly pro-European Union, just like our organization is. So I can't tell if people are really 100% upset with the relationship Poland is having with the European Union right now. But 90% of the people that I surround myself with, they are. So, but I guess there are people that are happy with the relationship that we have with the European Union right now.
As we said, we are a very polarized country, also in this.
Yeah, we really are. But which country isn't right now? Let's be honest. Just look at the United States and their elections. I think it's a problem of modern societies, actually.
Yeah, I think also globalization and social media and everything that it's related has contributed to this. And yeah, I guess you also kind of are studying this in your studies, and you have seen it also. Yeah, I don't know how much is this influence in Poland, and also how much it depends on the age of people. So like, how much do they use social media, and how actually they recognize themselves with the like the public opinion, if it's really what is showed in the rumors, as I said, with Polexit, for instance, because everybody now is thinking of the stereotype of Poland, like the whole Poland is thinking to leave the EU, and that's kind of like what happened with Brexit. And I don't know, what do you think about, as you said, your peers, for instance, you would say that they are more pro-European, or you still think that there is like among this group, age group, also a percentage of people who are against this?
Well, as Claudia said in the last poll, it was around 80% people who are pro-European. We love European Union. We basically base many things in Poland on EU funds and on EU projects. We are all beneficiaries of it, as we are going on Erasmus Plus projects. We are doing a lot of things, and we are connecting our future also with the European Union. So I don't think that full exit would be possible, even though last week decisions and the policy of our country could be a little bit emerging for us in this case.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just don't think that Polish people can live without the European Union right now. And I mean not the organization itself, but what we're actually gaining being a member of the European Union. So like Erasmus Plus projects, the funding, which is helping a lot of institutions, just like universities and some other organizations, and of course the entrepreneurs. So it's not like we are in the European Union and Polish people are pro-European Union only because we're getting money from the European Union, but I just can't imagine 20-year-old people having to stand in lines to cross the border. It feels impossible, and I think young people are mostly pro-European Union, and they will be gaining voting rights more and more right now because they are turning 18 every day. So I think Polish people will be only more and more pro-European Union. That's what I'm guessing. I can't, of course, be sure of that, but
Yeah.
Well,
I
we
think
are
so.
European. It is part of our identity, and I guess we won't change it. I hope we won't change it.
So if there were to be like a referendum, just hypothesis, if they had a referendum like in Britain, in Great Britain, how do you think, like, do you think that young people would go to vote, or do you think there will be like a similar case to what happened with Brexit?
I think they would go to voting in this case, and they will vote for staying in the EU. If it would happen.
Yeah, actually, it's also worth mentioning that the poll that we talked about, that 75 or 80% were pro-European Union just this year, it's actually more people than voted yes when we were joining the European Union. So it's not decreasing, it's actually raising. So
that's awesome.
yeah, I think so too, actually.
Yeah. And how would you say that, well, we kind of mentioned it already, but do you think that in general people how are they perceiving all this situation in Poland? Like, not people like you who are interested in politics and involved in this, but I mean, common people in general within the country. How would you say? Also in small difference between small cities, villages, and big cities. How would you say there's some kind of degree of difference of reaction?
Well, I guess for both of us, it is difficult to say because we cannot speak about all of our citizens, and we are living in, this closed environment of people who are basically living in big cities who have similar interests to ours. But as we know, as it's usually, people in big cities are more interested in politics and what is happening socially, and people in smaller towns are less interested in what is happening. I guess it's like that everywhere. So this is how it looks like. Klaudia?
Yeah, I think that we can't really speak for everyone in Poland, but there usually is what like researchers are showing, that there usually is a difference between people living in the countryside or a small town and people living in a big city such as Warsaw, especially Warsaw, I would say. But well, to be honest, right now, I think the biggest problem or concern for Polish people is still the coronavirus. So, like, there's a lot, even concerning the protests right now. Well, those who want to protest sometimes don't because they are afraid of the virus, of course. And even if they're not afraid of it themselves, they're afraid to pass it to their mothers, the fathers, brothers, grandfathers, everyone.
Yeah.
So on the other hand, people that are not supporting the protests are mad at the protesters that they are doing this because, of course, they are blaming them for the numbers of the cases we have daily, which was today it was around 12,000. So of course, the summer was treating us during the summer. The coronavirus was treating us a little lighter. Right now, it's 12,000 cases, as in every other country in Europe, I think. The numbers are rising, and we just, our government just introduced a national lockdown starting on December 28th. So, yeah, so people are in the middle of what's happening concerning abortion and LGBTQ and European Union. There's simply also coronavirus, which is complicating everything just as everywhere.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think this also has been reflected on other countries because, you know, you just watch the news and you see the coronavirus and you rarely see what's going on besides the coronavirus everywhere. I don't know if you have this feeling also with all the situation in Poland, if you have the feeling that your friends or international friends who live abroad, if they really hear about Poland or if it's just neglected because of the coronavirus or, I don't know, American elections or other topics.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, actually, the timing even of the abortion constitutional court ruling was a little unfortunate, let's say, because this is actually the point. We had this so-called abortion compromise for years because people have very different views on that matter. So, like, there are people 100% pro, so like pro-abortion. I mean, so like you have a choice. It's pro-choice or pro-life, as you call it, as we call it. So I guess that everybody knew that touching like this subject and actually pretty much ruining the consensus that we had will be a very bad thing. It will create a really difficult situation in a society. So the fact that we're all talking about abortion in Poland right now during the coronavirus and pandemic just feels like a huge misunderstanding, mistake. I don't know how to call it, because I just think that the timing is really bad.
And we must really underline also the fact that the protests which started after this ruling are the biggest protests in Poland since 1989. So it's a really huge scale of people who are on the streets during coronavirus.
And it's actually, it's not only abortion anymore, because people are joining women in protesting other stuff as well. Because, well, you know how coronavirus. I know I'm going back to coronavirus again, but there are entrepreneurs that are really happy with what happened with their businesses, and they are protesting as well. There's just restaurant workers not being able to work, protesting as well. So there are medical workers that are, you know, that have a lot right now going on, but they think that they don't get enough support or enough salary, or just, you know, they're generally unhappy. They also joined the protests. So I would say it's not only abortion anymore. And of course, you can find both people that are happy. I mean, I guess no one is happy with the coronavirus in Poland, but there are just people who are less and more unhappy with the situation that we have right now, depending if they're working for um, one of the one of the businesses that I already mentioned. Like if they have a restaurant or a hotel, they're more unhappy than people working, for example, in offices, because companies still need office workers or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just came up to my mind when we were speaking about the protest, and you were saying that it's the biggest protest since basically ages. What would you say, like, what was the difference between this protest and the one in 2016 that you were mentioning at the beginning, if there is any? I mean,
Well, the difference is that this one lasts longer. Also, right now, there are more people concerned about it because it's like, it's a bit different because back then it was supposed to make some changes. It was supposed to penalize abortion, but it wasn't so precisely told what would happen. They weren't so sure about implementing it. It was just a project of the bill. And right now, with this ruling, it became more real than ever. So many people went on the streets. And it's also, as Klaudia said, it's not only women who are protesting against the abortion bill. There is LGBTQ organizations. There are also other people concerned and unhappy with the government. And there are protesters who are against this whole thing. There were even protesters against coronavirus who were all together in different manifestations, mixing around in Warsaw during the biggest manifestation that was by the end of October. So yes, it is different also because also the times are different and the scale is much different.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think 2016, it was just plans, discussions. They weren't sure if they were going to do it. So women could still say no. Constitutional court decision, like no one could have been consulted anymore. And I guess actually women were most concerned about this, that no one tried to discuss it. Of course, well, it's not that easy because the Constitutional Court can't really just discuss matters with people. The government can, but the Constitutional Court is just ruling, judging. So they couldn't really be like, oh, do you want us to tell everyone that it's constitutional, or do you want us to tell it's unconstitutional? They ruled as they thought was right. So it already happened, and like right now, actually the motto of the protests of women is "This is war." So that means that they don't want to talk anymore. They don't want to discuss it. It's not something that they can be consulted. There will be no consultation. So like they just had enough. They are just giving the government a sign that there was a time to talk and that time has passed.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's why it's pretty impressive that although we are kind of limited by all these restrictions about Corona, that all these protests managed to somehow make a voice be heard in this situation. So I'm sure so many people wanted to protest as well, but couldn't or weren't so sure to going out and risk their lives with the fact of Corona.
Yeah, but just imagine if Veronika mentioned that these are the biggest protests since 1989, and not even everyone that wants to protest is doing it. What would happen if everyone that wants to do it would actually do it?
Yeah. One may wonder if there was there would have been a real revolution or something, like something even bigger than what is going on right now.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you're having a look at the comments section, because I don't know if people might have questions at this point before I continue with mine, because I cannot see them.
Klaudia?
Yeah, I'll look at it right now. Actually, just as we speak.
Yeah. Perfect. But
while we're waiting, I can also say about one also important topic when it comes to our recent protests. For 30 years, Polish police was trying to regain trust of the society because, in People's Republic of Poland, it was a huge problem because of police brutality and connection to the regime. And right now, for 30 years, they were trying to regain this trust, which was basically broken in the last couple of months because of brutality of police during the protest. And yes, and it's also an important thing to see that because right now this trust that has been lost would take again years to be regained.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Again, it seems weird, but it's all connected to other countries as well. What's been going on in the US and also in France. So it's kind of everything that happens in one country echoes to other countries. So once again, we are all polarized, and every matter somehow is present also in other countries. Um, I see that Claudia shared some of the questions. Maybe we
Yeah,
can
I did.
just have a look. So Giovanni is writing, you said Polish society is still quite conservative. Do you think that this plays a role in youth migration to other countries? And then he says, I'm thinking about the UK, for example, where Poles represent one of the biggest minorities with around 800,000 Polish citizens living in the more liberal country.
Well, I guess that for some people it may be a reason. There are also the reasons of the higher salaries in different countries because people are also migrating because of economical reasons. We cannot say why our society in general, what are the reasoning of the migration. But in general, it's because of economical reasons and sometimes also because of that. So we live in a conservative country, which is not suitable for many people. So yes, it can be one of the reasons.
Mhm.
I guess I would like to focus on the UK part here, the UK part of the question, because actually, why there are so many Polish people in the UK is because Poland joined the EU in the 2004, and we had this transitional period concerning like working permits. So, for example, Polish people were not allowed to go to some European Union countries and work as every other European Union citizen for a little bit of time. It was a few years. And UK decided not to do that towards Polish people. So UK was actually one of the few, very few countries that we could go to and start working immediately. So that's what a lot of people did. And I guess they took their families or friends with them. So the UK case is actually, this is the result of why there are so many people in the UK. But the migration right now, well, I guess it might be the reason, but I think it's also that nowadays Polish teenagers and young people, they just don't see I don't know, getting a job or studying abroad as something that they cannot do. This is normal right now. It's you can do it easily. So that's what they're deciding to do because they want to broaden their horizons. So I guess that would also be the case, that we just want to see the world.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess I can understand that. But you think maybe it's just about experiences like for a short period of time being abroad and then coming back to the country? Do they have the instinct, generally speaking, or would you say that they rather have like the I don't know, the goal to go out and just stay abroad from Poland?
Well, there are a lot of different cases. It's impossible to say what are the reasoning and what period of time are people going to. Some of them are going just to study abroad and come back, or to just work for a couple of years and come back to their country.
Mhm.
Some of them are deciding that we are moving out of our families because we want to live in a different country. It's difficult to say. It's like with every country when you're migrating, where citizens are migrating, it's many reasons why they are doing it and for what period of time they are doing it.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
thinking about it.
I
Sorry.
no, it's okay. I just wanted to agree because we say that life writes the best scenarios, the best stories. So, you know, some people just go abroad for like 3 months to work, for example, but then I don't know, they find the love of their life or something, they move permanently. So there's a million different cases. So it's really hard to say.
Yeah, I was just quickly mentioning that, for instance, in Italy, we talk a lot about the thing that young generations tend to just leave Italy and don't come back, and this is something that we are experiencing. Like it's a crisis actually. So that's, I wanted to know if it was like the same.
Well, yes, we are experiencing it too, because many young people are migrating, but it's also not, I would prefer not to generalize all of our migrations, because that would be like,
Yeah, but we are also an aging society. So it's not only about Polish youth leaving Poland, but it's also we have more elderly people than we have children and teenagers. So I guess that's also a problem of many countries right now.
Yeah. Okay, we are going out of topic, I think.
That's true.
Let's go back to the questions, maybe. So Filippo is asking if there are forces pushing Poland towards Russia as opposition to the EU influence. That's interesting.
well, I wouldn't say that.
I guess,
Klaudia.
yeah, I was just gonna mention that there's a lot of, you know, I don't even know how to call it, like hybrid tactics, I guess, that are now influencing many countries, coming also from many actors, many different actors. So I wouldn't actually say that there are some direct forces pushing Poland towards Russia, especially as, I mean, not especially, but as the opposition to the EU influence, because Poland has always been in the middle of Germany and Russia. And it's not that we have always been against these two countries, it's just these two countries were always very powerful. So that meant that our situation was always kind of difficult. No, I wouldn't say so, because after what happened in like you know, during communism, when we were well, not really exactly independent, we were kind of
Satellite
dependent.
country, yes.
Yeah, we were dependent from the USSR back then. I don't think Polish people forgot about it. Absolutely not. So I don't think we would like that to repeat itself.
Yeah, I think this is also linked to the European identity you were stressing before, especially in younger generations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our government is really focusing on the independence of our country. In many, you know, just many different topics. So like they want us to be not to be dependent on other countries concerning energy and stuff like that. So yeah, they don't like to depend on other countries.
Especially on Russia, when we are taking into consideration our history.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's still people confusing Polish with Russian sometimes. It's pretty common.
And not only sometimes, it's pretty often.
Even though we actually, because they say that the language is pretty similar, but we do not understand each other.
At all.
Yeah, there are a lot of memes about this, but yeah, that's for another time maybe. Okay, so then there's Christina asking, I would like to know about whether the women's protests are mostly independent women organizing to protest a new court ruling, or whether there is some particular feminist group that has existed even before or is long-term protesting Poland's conservative stance concerning reproductive rights, LGBTQ rights, or gender roles. That's a long question. I don't know if
there are many feminist organizations in Poland. Right now, the current protests are led by the women's strike. It is not the organization, it's not the NGO, it's just it was created in 2016 after the protests. These are just the women who are protesting. It's like the strike committee, which is protesting and which is organizing most of the protests. But there are also smaller organizations and smaller groups of feminists who are organizing protests in their own cities, because you have to remember that it's not like only Warsaw is protesting, also many cities in Poland and also abroad are protesting.
Mhm.
So yes, I guess this is the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have nothing to add to what Veronika said.
Mhm. Okay, then I don't know if there are many other some other questions. Maybe I can just ask you if you have one message that would like to deliver at the end of this super interesting and vast conversation, because we actually touched more topics than we were planning to.
Yeah. Well, Klaudia, I guess I'll give you a virtual floor.
I actually know how it sounds, but I think I would like to remind all of us to respect other people's values and beliefs. Because I get a feeling that we forget to do that sometimes. And I would like us to remember that even if we disagree, we should respect each other, and we should always try to talk to each other to find a solution before we do anything else. So we all live in a democratic society. I mean, all as like in Europe. I don't mean the whole world, because of course there are different systems. But let's remember that the democracy that we live in is a majority rule, but with the respect of the right of minority. And that minority has a right to have their own voice, and they have a right for that voice to be heard and taken into consideration. So no matter who is ruling the country at the moment, and no matter who you are supporting as a European Union citizen, just let's try to stay open-minded and each other, and try to understand each other, even if it's difficult. Because I think partially this is why everything is happening in Poland right now, like all of the protests and pretty much other subjects that were tackled. These problems, I think, come from us not really remembering that other people have a right to have a different opinion. Um, so I guess that would be my message to everyone today. I know how it sounds. I know how it sounds, but I think we all know about it. We all hear about it from everywhere, but we just don't really live by these words. And I think we should just remember about it, especially now when all of the countries are actually troubled.
Yes, I can only add here the importance of NGOs, which are political NGOs, which, like our organizations, are connecting people with different opinions, different backgrounds, so we can also create a field for discussion. And importance also for the good sources of information when it comes to strikes and everything, because as you said, there are so many gossips about what is happening in Poland that it's very important, and we are very glad that we can meet here with you and talk about what is really happening from our citizen perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like how you put it, girls, because it's what we try to do also as Jeune. So like to understand each other better as Europeans and try to build a vision of future together, you know, like accepting each other and sharing our opinions, that they don't have to be the same, of course, but we can just build a better reality by sharing our points of view. So that's really nice that you shared this message. Yeah, I think we don't have any much time. But yeah, I would just like to thank you one more time, because I think this was really necessary for our peers, for us, for you, and for everyone who is watching us, because it's good to go to the source of information and That's what we also do when we write articles, and we make sure that our informations are cited and cited sources, and that we really defend information. We inform ourselves to inform other people, and I guess that's what you do too. So it's nice that we have this in common, and it was lovely to talk to you and to organize this. And yeah, thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Paula.
Really, it was. Thank you so much for having us tonight. Even though it's a distance, we are actually in a distance, but
sure. Yeah, hopefully we'll meet in person soon.
Yes, hopefully.
So I wish you happy holidays.
Me too.
thank you. Thank you so much.
And see you soon.
Let's hope 2021 will be better for us.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay, I stopped recording. I stopped streaming. We are done. Okay.
Well,